Hi guys, today I have another book review that I wanted to share, and I will be continuing on with the Hex Hall trilogy today. So I'm going to be discussing Demonglass by Rachel Hawkins, which is the second book in the Hex Hall trilogy. So if you did not catch my last book review, it was for the first one, which is Hex Hall. So if you haven't heard about this or you haven't read it yet and you're interested, there will be a link below. And that video is completely spoilers free and everything like that. So today I'm going to do more of just like a discussion where I kind of talk out my thoughts and do more spoilers because it is a sequel. So if you've read it, feel free to stick around and tell me what you thought about it. I have not read Spellbound. I will probably start it as soon as I'm done with this video in the probably the next couple days, because I've been prolonging it until I get this review filmed, which is what I'm doing today. So feel free to share what you thought about Demonglass below if you've read it. Yeah, I guess without further adu, I will just jump right in. So I have to say this book was much more impressive for me than the first one, and I did really enjoy the first one. You watched my review, you know I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but for me there were still a couple of things that I wasn't crazy about and things that I did not love about the book. And so this one was just so much more intriguing for me, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I just love it so much more than the last one. So I got really excited for this one. And so basically this one starts off, as we know, where it left off before. Sophie is still at school, but all the stuff with Elodie dying and Alice and Archer being a part of the Eye has gone down, and so she's kind of traumatized after that happened, and now she's convinced that she could turn into like an evil demon like Alice, just like freak out and stuff. So she's kind of scared about her power and kind of her position, so she's decided that she wants to go through the removal and have all her powers removed so she can't hurt anybody. And then her dad comes to visit the school, and he tells her that he's not going to grant her permission to remove her powers unless she comes to stay with him for the summer, and then if she's still convinced after that, then he'll let her. So she agrees to go, and as we know, he lives in England, so she decides to bring Jenna along, and they head off to England for Thorn Abbey, which is one of the family estates of their family, Sophie and his family. So they head off to Thorn Abbey, and that's also where the current place is for the council. Their headquarters is at. So it's a huge, huge estate, like a really big kind of large house, and I loved the setting and the description of Thorn Abbey. I think that not only was just a nice kind of breath of fresh air for a kind of change of scenery, but I loved the description. I think the way that Rachel Hawkins described it was more majestic and just really, really intriguing. So I think that it was an awesome location, and I also like that it's in England, which just adds to the appeal. So her and Jenna arrive, and they kind of explore a little bit about the history and kind of around the house, and then we find out that Nick and Daisy, who are also demons living there, are kind of involved in the story, which is kind of threatening to Sophie because she thought only her and her dad were the only demons alive. So Nick and Daisy are there, and her dad's there, and then Mrs. Kasnoff's sister works for her father, so she's there as well. So there's a couple of new characters that are kind of like main key players, and then we learn a little bit more about her dad. I really like her dad's character here. I think he was really cool. It definitely shows that he still cares about her, and he's kind of concerned for her even though he's been absent her entire life. So I really like his kind of character introduction. Cal has a greater part, and I totally thought at the end of Hex Hall that Cal had kind of like an interesting part of the story. I thought, you know, that he is kind of like a love type of interest, but there was still Archer, and I didn't know where it was going to go, and pretty much what I thought was going to happen is kind of played out in Demonglass. So Archer shows back up, and him and Sophie kind of like, you know, figure out their like love each other, I guess is the right terminology. And then Cal is there, and he has been promised to Sophie, which is kind of an odd concept, but he's there, and there's kind of a little bit of like a flirting kind of awkwardness between them. And then I don't know what to think about Nick and Daisy, because Sophie's character kind of thinks in her mind that there's something odd about them. She has a bad feeling about Nick, and so I never really like loved them but I never like disliked them either. I feel like their characters were kind of awkward, and then in the end they kind of were possessed and kind of taken over to be used as weapons, which wasn't really their own doing, so I kind of feel bad for them, but at the same time I was never attached, so it wasn't like that upsetting to see them kind of disappear. I don't know. But overall I loved the kind of whole storyline itself. I think that the history of the world and of Thorn Abbey was really interesting. The little bit about the grimoire was kind of neat. At the very end, I was kind of surprised that the Casnoffs were kind of like two-faced, like caused all that problem. So obviously I think the third one's going to continue on with like Sophie hopefully persevering against them. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Archer or Cal, because Archer is currently like on lockdown and then Cal went to find him. But I don't know. I'm not sure who I like. Like I would probably lean more towards Archer right now than Cal, because I've seen more of him. He's obviously been with her. But I'm not like 100% into Archer. I don't know. I like him a lot though. And when he was at Shelly's outside and he caught her and he was like, don't even think about it, Mercer. And then he protected her. That was really neat. So there's obviously still something there, and I don't think he's really bad. I think there's more to that story. Although I guess we'll find out in the last one. I love the little bits of instances of where Sophie and her dad kind of worked on her powers with the mirrors. I thought that that was really cool. The magic was a little bit more defined. They talked more about the powers and kind of this, just the different kind of characteristics of it, and then the kind of portal that they have to go back and forth between places. What's it called? It's kind of like a port key in Harry Potter language. Itinerus. That's pretty neat. Again, it's a new kind of type of magic for me. Being a Harry Potter kind of wizard fan, it's definitely a different kind of spin on magic and like a fantasy type of world, but I really like it. I got more kind of into it in the second one, and I I'm excited to see where the last one goes. Overall, I was very, very impressed and I loved it. I thought it was so much better than the first one, and I really enjoyed the first one, but I felt like this one was so much better. I'm excited to see where the last one goes. I felt like Sophie's humor was really nice in this one too. I learned to love her character more in this one too, and even like the little appearances of like Elodie as the ghost, which was still kind of weird but still kind of like funny. I really liked that. I felt this one was just so much better with small details and kind of just the way things were kind of intertwined. So I guess that's all I have to say. Kind of a brief synopsis. Hopefully the last one, my review for that one, will be a little bit more detailed with a recap of everything that happened. But I'd be interested to hear what you guys have thought about the series thus far, or what you think about Demonglass specifically, because I was really impressed. I will keep you guys posted, and stay tuned for my review of Spellbound, which will hopefully be up shortly. So I guess that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're doing really well, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye guys!